Good Saturday morning, July 5th. So, you know the old saying, knee high by the 4th of July. Well, that was the first corn we planted. Well, first day we planted. That's not the actual first field. So yes, we have some corn that made it to knee high or above. Actually quite a bit of corn, but lots of vehicles here because we're getting the soffit and whatnot put back on the side of the shop from when it came off during the ice. But anyways, so the piece on top of the hill was planted May 31st. This one was planted June 1st. And you can see these are pretty much knee high. Spots are not quite, other spots are probably a little more. Got a little burn mark there from anhydrous, but I wanted to get that empty because I had obviously extra anhydrous from not planting that, 33 acres of corn or whatever. So these two pieces have double the anhydrous. A little experiment. See what 300 pounds of nitrogen does for us. Probably will make it stay greener than shit come this fall and not dry down with my luck, but we're gonna find out. I'm waiting for the dew to dry up some because as you can tell it's pretty heavy before I go start spraying. It's about 7:30 now because yeah, contact spray. Don't need it contacting the dew and rolling off of the weeds so that they don't die. All right, so I'm over to Scotty's 80 acres spraying. And as you can see, the beans over there look a little different than right here. That's because the whole lower part of this field was wet. And I told Barb, I said, there's no sense in trying to disc it, because she came over and disc, because you're just gonna gum it all up. So instead I no-tilled through it. Do they look that good? No. But they don't look horrid. I mean, they're trying to grow. Let's put it that way. But it's better than what it would have looked like. Okay, I had to turn you off because I had to turn. But, I mean, it's July 5th, so yeah, it's finally dried up. They don't look horrible over that way, some. They don't look as bad down this way, some. But I mean, obviously the seed trenches didn't seal very good. It's obviously weedier than the bastard because it was never tilled up. I mean, it'll be what it'll be. So once we get it sprayed and get the weeds killed, another week, 10 days, I can come back and look at it and see what it looks like. But it was the only thing we could do with this whole lower end. There's spots, the beans don't look horrible, like I said, over there. But I guess we'll all find out together this fall what they end up being like. And yes, I've been spraying beans and I haven't taken you along. I finished anhydrous, I didn't take you along for the end of that. I know, like I've said before, sometimes it's nice just not to have to carry the camera with me. But yeah, come fall, we'll find out what these beans down here amount to, if they amount to anything. Luckily it's a small, not a huge area. I mean, it's not super small. There's probably 4 acres down here. So now I'm across the road doing the big piece, woodchucks. The #1 biggest pain in the ass for bean fields when they're small. So it's a real joy to have hedgerows and woods and whatnot surrounding bean fields. They come out and eat the living shit out of the headlands. And if there's a whole family of them, yeah, that's real good. Doing my once around this field, so I gotta kind of try to pay somewhat attention so I don't end up sticking that, out into the trees out there. So, but yeah, so when somebody has, I used to look thin around the outside. That would be our friendly woodchucks.
They're kind of like raccoons, you know, they're just a useless animal. And yeah, need to be eliminated basically. All right, it's about 4 o'clock now. I've quit spraying for the day because it's hot. And I literally could see over to Scotty's. When I got down to the bottom of the big field, the 40-acre field on the north side of his little road there, you could tell where I went around the headland, because the beans they weren't as dark green. You could just tell the heat. I mean, I don't like doing, and they say it's not great to spray, especially beans. Corn, you can probably get away with it, but beans, when it's real hot, no. And right now it's almost 90, and it's kind of humid. Tomorrow's going to be 94, very humid. Dew points back in the 70s. Monday's going to be 90, dew points back in the 70s. But chance of thunderstorms, got the sweats rolling right off me, which we're going to need, because I keep telling you, and people think, why does you keep wanting rain? Yeah, when I was doing the anhydrous, I was bringing up all sorts of moisture, 8 inches deep when you're burying them knives down in, 8-9 inches, whatever it is. But that's the problem, the roots. Our roots were like on a vacation after you planted it. They just, as soon as they came out, they were like, moisture all around us, which is my argument for, which I'm not trying to start an argument with anybody again, any other farmers, but I'd much rather have a dry May, or a dry planting season, I'll say, because some of you start in April, some of you farther south start in March. I'd rather be dry, just enough moisture to make that seed germinate, because then them roots go, it's like Trump saying, drill baby drill, because they need to find moisture. Where a year like this, they ain't got to go anywhere to find moisture. And the chances of them, I'm not saying they won't go any deeper, but we're going to need consistent rain. So I'm hoping that chance of thunderstorms Monday actually happens. I don't know if you can tell, I was just going back through the video. At almost 4 o'clock right now, that doesn't look as good as it did at 7 o'clock this morning, or 7:30, whatever time it was. Because this morning it was still in the 50s, which ain't going to happen the next couple of nights. It's only going down in the 70s. There was a really heavy dew this morning, and that corn was like, relaxed. Now, like over here on this heavy knob, you can actually see it curling and getting a little brownish tint to it. So, yeah, that's the only problem with shallow rooted crops. They're going to need moisture all year long on a consistent basis. Like I said, it's July 5th. I'd like another 3 to 4 inches of rain this month. I'd like 4 inches in August. I'd like 2 or 3 inches the first 2 or 3 weeks of September. Then it can turn dry again so we can harvest. But I know I'm asking for a lot. But let me get my truck out of here, because I parked it in here this morning to get out of the way so I could get out with the gator and the spray. I'll take you out here. This project's done. So basically what they did is they just left this part of the gutter, because this is the heated shop part, so it usually doesn't get ice anyhow. So we left that, and the back gutter was fine. So my cousin Dave just capped it. I don't think you've ever seen Dave in a video. Joe Green, who helped him, I know you've seen Joe, because he helped put up the addition, and Joe is in our hunting group, so I'm pretty sure you've probably seen him during a few hunting videos. Guy's 75 years old, and he's like the fucking Energizer Bunny. So up and down these ladders, going across the scaffolding. Yeah, but that is fixed. So we saved all the old soffit, put it back up. So saved some of the old boards, and I had 2x6s in the shop. So minimal, yes. All right, so I'm gonna pull my truck out. I'm gonna get the gator out. I'm gonna take you up back to the last corn we planted. Remember the clusterfuck field? Part corn, part beans.
All right, so it's the clusterfuck field. Not quite knee high. Planted June 8th. Now you can still see my tracks from doing the anhydrous. It's pushing knee high, but not quite. You get over here onto these heavier knobs, and she's a little shorter and a little less green. But, and then, you know, this is why it's the clusterfuck field, because over here in this half, we have soybeans. This had water standing right here on this low spot in the headland right here yesterday. So that tells you how fast it's sucking up, because we've had 1.5, 1.6 inches of rain since June 30th, July 1st, July 2nd. Like 1.5, 1.6, I'd have to look at my book. And today's June 5th, and that's how dry things look already. So, yeah. You look out right here on this clay knob. You can see it kind of yellowing. Up there you can really see it on this heavy clay knob. And that's after getting, like I said, 1.5 inches of rain 3, 4, 5 days ago. I mean, that's what I mean by needing consistent rain from this point forward. So, alright, well, hey, push on the Grumpy Farmer apparel link and get your Grumpy Farmer apparel, and when I get back over to the shop, we're going to do one more thing. Alright, so here's going to be our one more thing. It's a dipshit list. 2 in particular. One that asked, don't put me on the dipshit list with the Democrats, but anyways, they're going to be on it. Okay, one of them's name is Gary Reimer, or Gary Reimer, however you pronounce your name, Gary. Gary thinks that if we sell our corn for $3 a bushel, you know, less than what it is now, that would make ethanol cheaper, which would make gas cheaper, which then would make everything that we need cheaper, because transportation would be cheaper. Okay, Gary. And my reply to Gary obviously was, apparently you haven't been around very long for my videos, or you didn't pay attention, you know, 8, 9, 10 months ago when we were getting $3.50 a bushel. Was gas any cheaper then? Oh wait, no, Biden was president. No, gas was quite a bit more. Were my parts any cheaper then? No, they weren't, Gary. So great theory. Okay, and then there's, whoops, I'm going to read some of these. I know, Bucky. Dairy 24365, otherwise known as Bucky when you push on his little icon. So, when the milk price or beef prices is shit and grain price is high, I had a drink. Hang on, I'll reread it in a second. I'm gonna put you down. I had the window down, the gator, and it was dusty. All right, start this again. So Dairy 24365, otherwise known as Bucky, says, so when the milk price or beef prices is shit and grain price is high, are you going to sell your grain cheaper to the lower pole guy buying your grain, I'm assuming meaning the dairy and beef farmer, so that you always have somewheres to sell your grain? I thought that was kind of interesting. So my reply was to Bucky, what's the price of milk and beef been lately compared to grain? Pretty good, I think. So if the price of milk and the price of beef has been pretty good, why hasn't the price of grain? Right? So are they giving us more? I meant, you know, dairy farmers and beef farmers. Pretty sure beef prices have been record high in the past few years, which they have been. And I know dairy farmers around here have been getting over $20 a hundredweight. So why isn't your theory you're talking about right now working towards us, the crop farmer? So they should be paying us more, right? Now, I don't mean that
they should. I'm just, arguing with Bucky about his theory. So Bucky's reply was, Grumpy Farmer, maybe I misunderstand what you were saying, but I got that you feel part dealers, fertilizer pants, I'll forgive you for your spelling, I'm quite sure you meant fertilizer plants, etc., should not make as much profits as they can and should make sure the farmers stay farming so they in turn have customers. Yet you would never not make as much profit as you could, even if you put someone lower on your pole out of business. Agree with you most of the time, but this was your dipshit moment. This explanation was probably confusing as hell. Yeah, it was real confusing, Bucky, because we're all on the bottom of the totem pole. Doesn't matter if you're a dairy farmer, a beef farmer, a crop farmer. We're all getting fucked by 100 to 200, 300% markups on prices. Fertilizer, shit like that. I mean, I don't get your farmer versus farmer bullshit here. And of course, I replied, you're 100% correct. You don't make much sense. But so then he says, actually, it makes perfect sense. Your first response had nothing to do with what I asked. Never said nothing about current markets. I'm happy as heck grain prices down. More profit for dairy farming. Maybe you need to rewatch your video. Maybe you need to rewatch my video because I answered what you said first by basically asking you if that's what you think is right. You were saying I should sell my grain for less so that you dairy farmers and beef farmers could stay in business. But yet my reply was answering your question. When you're getting $20 to $25 a hundredweight for milk, beef prices have been record prices. Are you giving us more money for our grain? And it's not you, and it's not me. It's the fucking middleman to start with. So why are you pitting farmer on farmer? So my response was, so you agree when dairy prices are good and your inputs are low, you don't want to pay more, so the crop farmers make more. I don't get why we're having this little argument. You don't understand the whole concept. We all pay too much for our inputs and for our parts, etc., etc. Why are you making this a farmer versus farmer thing? I don't need to rewatch my video. I think you do. You may have just made the dipshit list. And then, of course, he told me he didn't want to be on the dipshit list. He says, I agree we get overcharged for everything. But say at this particular time, I have no problem selling my bull calves for crazy high prices. In other words, making goddamn good money on, bull calves for beef. And I could care less if the guy buying them makes it or loses bank on them. Tell me you feel bad selling $7 corn to a cattleman. Everyone in it to make every dollar they can. I used to bitch and moan about the price of everything, thinking everyone else was making bank, till my vet told me every company that works with farmers know the limit of what they can charge before the farmer will not pay, and the skate right under that. I don't understand that part. Grain farmers and dairy farmers must be different breeds. If we stress over the cost of shit, we would all quit. Okay, so they know their limit that they could charge us, and if we didn't want to pay that limit, we'd just quit? And you don't give a fuck about the person who's buying your bull calf for astronomical money. Do you have kids? Do you have grandkids? I mean, like I said in the previous video, 30 years from now, I probably won't be here, so it won't matter. But my daughter will be 51 at that time. Maybe I'll have grandkids. I don't know. That's up to her if she wants to have children. I kind of care about the future for them if there's no farmers around to do this stuff. And this whole thing, they know their limit, so they're going to charge to their absolute fucking limit. Wake the fuck up, Bucky. I mean, holy fuck. You definitely made the dipshit list. I don't want $7 corn. You know what? If that shit right there that cost me $645 a ton this year stayed there, if these astronomical bullshit prices for parts and stuff stayed right where they are, if everything was the same next year and we got $5.50 a bushel for corn and $12.50, $13 a bushel for beans, we could make a living. And those companies would still be making goddamn good profit. Isn't it funny? Back during Trump's first administration, that shit right there was costing me like $375 a ton. Then all of a sudden he made that trade deal, you know, what did they call it? The phase one thing with China. And our prices went up quite a bit. Well, guess what? That shit all of a sudden was $1,000 a ton. Then old Pudding Brain decided not to hold China's feet to the fire on phase one, and China said, well, fuck you. If this, you know, dementia fuck shit in his pants ain't gonna make us keep doing this, we're not gonna, because they're China. And then the prices went to shit. And isn't it amazing? That's not back down to $375, is it? No, it slowly dropped back to like 7 something. Now it's 6 something. It's kind of like here a month ago, or not quite a month ago, the whole Israel-Iran thing. Barrel of oil jumped, the price jumped dramatically. All of a sudden gas went back up 40 cents. Now all of a sudden barrel of oil is plummeted right back down because it's all supposedly over, the Israeli-Iran thing. Have you seen the gas prices at the pump? Yeah, they're slowly going down. But nothing ever goes down as fast as it goes up, because them motherfuckers are going to make their bank when they can. That's my point. If everybody got paid what they deserve to get paid to make a living, God, how sweet it would be, right? But no, instead we're doing this bullshit. Oh yeah, come on, don't put me on the dipshit list with the Dems. And then some other people started going at you. I'm not going to read them all, but it's, you know, Michael Brash commented to him, when does a farmer get to set the price he gets to sell his product? Most companies will price to what the consumer will bear. A farmer in most cases asks, what will you pay me? Not this, what you are paying, not this is what you are paying me. Like I said, buy retail, sell wholesale, pay the freight both ways. I mean, I'm quite sure dairy farming is still the same as what it was when I was a dairy farmer for 25 years. Burn Dairy paid me X amount of dollar per hundredweight. When I sold the cows in 2011, it was actually up above $20. It was like the first time ever it got above $20 a hundredweight. Great time to sell the cows. But isn't it amazing that they come and pick your product up and you pay the hauling? Yeah, so when you're getting $15 a hundredweight, Bucky, and milk selling for, you know, close to $5 a gallon in the store, that's roughly, off the top of my head, 11 and a half gallons that you're sending them, because a gallon of milk is 8.6 pounds roughly. I think it's like 8.6 pounds. It's a little over 8 pounds. Anyways, it's between 11 and 12 gallons in that hundredweight that you're sending them, that you're getting $15 for when they're selling it for $5. Huh. Who's making bank there? So then when it goes up, they just increase, you know, the cost in the stores. They increase the trucking. I mean, how many businesses out there? I'm talking to you people who own a business now that aren't farmers. Fuel surcharge. How many of you love that? Especially farmers, though. Fuel surcharge. Everything that you get, there's a fuel surcharge. Because back when diesel, you know, on-road diesel was $4 to $5 a gallon, they had to charge you for that. But when it drops back down to $3 a gallon, they don't take the fuel surcharge off. They do for me, because I fucking bitch, and then they finally take it off, because I tell them, when the fuck's it going to come back off? How low do we have to go? $2 a gallon before you guys decide to take it off? You know, there's other companies out there I guess I can get whatever I need from, and because I'm not going to mention the companies, because they did take the fuel surcharges off. But I don't get you, Bucky. I don't get this, you know, pitting this farmer versus farmer thing, and I don't get you're happy as shit to get as much as you can for them bull calves and fuck the person at the other end. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'd kind of like to leave a little better world, a little better country for my daughter and possibly future grandchildren. But so I've decided, you know, I usually just go through these things and tell the prices of things, and I try to explain things mainly for the non-farmers. And it seems some of you actually appreciate that, but it leads to too much bullshit. So I guess I'm just going to start giving you the farming videos, throwing in some politics and stuff, and fuck talking about the price of things and all that stuff, because it just, I don't know. It just seems like some people don't give a fuck. And then I guess when corn goes to $7, I'm supposed to go fuck the person at the other end. Do you realize when corn goes to $7? Yeah, I'm sure there's a small percentage of farmers out there who sell direct to some dairies and some beef farms across the country, but most go through a grain broker. So when corn goes to $7 like it did, and beans were at $16, $17 like they were, you don't think that middleman was making some bank too before the end user got it? And if the end user was like a dairy farm or a beef farm, yeah, they were getting fucked because they don't get to set their price. But if the end user was a feed mill, the feed mill was making money. Whoever they were selling the feed to, maybe not so much, but I don't know. I've rambled on enough about this. We'll see you in whatever the next video is. So here's a quick second more thing. Jim Olson sent me some grease gun couplers. And in the box was a hat from Central Counties Cooperative. So thank you, Jim.